In an increasingly digital world, children are at risk of exploring their sense of touch less. This morning, we chat to our creative parenting expert, Nikki Bush, about this phenomenon and why the sense of touch is such an important part of being human. We love it, we need it, we crave it on an emotional level. I love the fact that my little boy, when he is upset that I'm driving and I can't actually see him, I just let him grab my finger and he takes a tight little grip and then he calms down. Why is it such an emotional response? What is that connection there?
So the sense of touch, Graham, what our bodies have touched, what we have touched, there's this it's almost like an extension of the womb. So you think about that baby that's come out of the womb, there's been a huge sense of touch. Your tactile system, your skin is your biggest organ of the body, the biggest sensory processor in the body. And in the womb, it gets stimulated every second of every day. Then they get taken out of the womb and suddenly they've got to acclimatize to a different kind of touch, the air, harsh fabrics, different substances, and then, of course, parents' arms and your finger, and all of that creates that sense of security. And it takes 18 months until a baby feels separate from their parent, till they actually can see themselves as separate. As an individual and so at 18 months, they go through separation anxiety. So when you pick them up and hug them all over again, they feel safe and secure.
And I love it when they sink into you. When they're like,
and that's what you miss when your children are much bigger and they no longer sink into you.
Why is it so important on a developmental level, the sense of touch?
Oh, so essential, Graham, because, you know, we need to understand that children are multi-sensory human beings. They're multi-sensory learners. They take in information from the environment through their eyes, their ears, their nose, sense of taste, but so important, the sense of touch. Now, I want you to place your hand on that screen.
Okay.
How much feedback do you get? What are you feeling?
Yeah.
It's flat? It's cold?
Yeah.
It's smooth?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if I let you do all your learning on that versus, for example, this beautiful Sensi ball. Okay, now feel that, and I'm sure you're not unfamiliar with something like this right now.
The crunchy, I love it.
Okay, the crunches, the rough, smooth, the velveteen. Push your fingers into the holes. Okay, you're getting a three-dimensional view of the world, aren't you? Yeah?
That's amazing,
okay. So you are mapping the world. Take a lemon. That's real. Okay. Now, if you'd only seen a picture of a lemon on a tablet or in a book, you wouldn't know that it was oval, that it had it's smooth but rough skin. You can smell it if you cut it open. It's juicy if you cut it. It's got a very distinct smell. And if you taste it, it's sour. Okay, this is all the sense of touch. Okay, so babies mouth things all the time. This is important. They need to make mess. Okay, so when we talk about touch, we're talking about weight and texture, and like take for example that little letter has got rough on one side and smooth on the other side. We're talking about different state, dry, wet. So we are getting information about the world around us. We can create meaning. We need to give children real experiences with the world that they can touch and interact with physically for them to map the world and create understanding and meaning.
So don't just be kind of completely focused on the eyes and the ears, but that sense of touch is vital. We've got some amazing little props that we're going to explore after this, give you some tips on how you can inspire that sense of touch within your own child and how you can use that to develop their brain. Nikki Bush, thank you so much. You guys better stick around if you want to find out what this stuff is. It looks amazing.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Earlier this morning, we spoke about a sense of touch and how important it is for our child's development, for the development of their brain. And of course, with our creative parenting expert, Nikki Bush, who has brought some amazing props here. But before we get into this, I have to ask, because there are some children that respond to touch in different ways. Some crave more, some crave less. How does this kind of play out in a child's mind? Why are children different in that sense?
So we call this sensory integration or sensory processing. Some children have tactile defensiveness, where they want less. Don't touch me, don't hug me. They don't like those little labels in their clothes. There's certain textures they won't eat. In fact, it can stimulate a gag reflex. And some children want more, so they are craving sensory input. Those are extremes, obviously. Today we're generally talking, in this show about the average child, who needs more tactile input than they're currently getting, because we're giving our children less because they're on screens and devices
They're taking in
more.
so much more visually.
Yes.
So how do we introduce a sense of touch into our home?
So this is quite easy, and I've got a bowl of lentils here. So I want you to put your hands in the lentils and feel how soothing that is. And, you know, I do this with executives in boardrooms where I put out bowls of these things and you see people instantly start relaxing. Because we, even as adults, we forget that we need that stimulation of the skin, because it's the biggest sensory organ in the body. And it soothes, calms, and relaxes us. Play-Doh is a wonderful thing to have in the home. Either make your own or go and buy some commercial Play-Doh. And we've got this lovely set here. And I just want to show you how we've got different textures. This Play-Doh set comes with these different textured rollers.
Oh, brilliant.
And so just
just
feel that. And then I'll roll them out. Okay, so just that on its own is sensory. And then to create different textures in our Play-Doh is just a very rewarding experience. And look, it comes with all these different stamps, so you can create different shapes. Look,
That's
that's
the
got
best
little
part of your
stars.
job is
play.
experiencing all of your,
Absolutely.
testing them.
Oh, no,
Sorry, on a scientific
my
level,
job.
testing them out.
And which we do. Children need to learn their shapes, because shapes are the foundation for the alphabet. Look at these diagonal lines that appear in a K, a K, or those straight lines that will appear in a D, or a B, or a H. And if children internalize these, and then later on at school we start talking about the different lines, they've already got a memory cell in the brain that they can go back to. Your construction toys are very important, because here we have that proprioceptive sense where we push things together, judging speed, space and distance like we've done before. Oh, now we can be creative and we can make some stencils and cutters out of our shapes. So there is so much that we have around us. Our children need exposure to the grass as well as to tiled floors. So, you know, texture, very, very important.
And that's why nature can be such a wonderful tool in that sense.
Absolutely.
Lastly, I have to ask, because I love it, there's no greater feeling for a parent than hugging your child. And you have to assume that it's the same for the child. Why is it so important to hug your child?
Well, we go back to where we started in the beginning. That sense of touch that was so highly stimulated in the womb makes children feel safe and secure. And there's nothing like a parent's arms embracing a child and saying everything's going to be okay, and I love you and you're mine forever. And, you know, it's all that sensory input as well as the emotional input that comes with it. And, you know, they say that our hugs today are too fleeting.
Yeah.
If you actually spend a longer time holding your loved one, there's a different amount of, I think, the serotonin levels that you know, get released when you're hugging. You've got to actually hold on to each other for a little bit longer.
Make it a bear hug. I'm going to continue to play with my kinetic sand because it's just so amazing, but there are so many ways that you can stimulate that sense of touch. And now that we know how important it is for your child's development, don't hold back. Let them explore the world, not only with their eyes and their ears, but with one of the greatest sensory organs in their body, their sense of touch through their skin. Oh, I love that.